And welcome into the Gary Ayd Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Online at cavetalkradio.com and the Cave Talk Radio app. Great to have you aboard, Gary Ayd, Rich, and Selmo. And, well, some days I have to dig. Some days I have to consider. Some days I have to, wonder, what am I going to open the show with today? What's my rant going to be? Some things are more rantable than others. Well, today we got a 10 out of 10. There's a reason I hate international competitions. And last night is why. Edwin Diaz, not even pitching, celebrating a meaningless, worthless exhibition game dressed as something important, breaks his knee. God knows how long he's going to be out. And the Mets are a team that's supposed to be in the title contending realm this year, and he is one of their absolute most important players, and now he is going to be lost for an undetermined period of time. Yet we're still waiting on tests, but it's not going to be good. He's going to be out a period of time, and it's BS. These international competitions with these high-paid star players from the pro leagues are dumb. They just are. Let's go back to college kids. If you want to use G League, minor leaguers, fringe major leaguers even, you can't have guys who are crucial to their team's success, particularly from teams. We can even use a little nuance with this. Let's be real. If you're the best player on the Royals, it doesn't really matter. They're not going to miss you. They can lose without you. But, if you're the best player on a team that's projected to contend, you should not be playing in these things. I don't care if it's the Olympics, the World Baseball Classic, FIBA, anything. It doesn't matter. This stuff is stupid. It is just not right. And now, one of the 3 or 4 best teams in baseball, top 5 team for sure, the Mets, are going to be without one of their 3 or 4 most important players for however long. And for what? What did the Mets gain from this? What did Diaz gain from this? I mean, I'm sure he was having a good time, but, at a certain point, you have responsibilities when you carry a contract and a burden and a role like that. You can't be doing this stuff. It's just not okay. And I'm so angry. I'm so ticked off. And, maybe he'll be out a month and it'll be whatever. But, it doesn't even matter. He could be out two games. It's the principle of it. I don't want someone who I'm paying that amount of money getting hurt performing the task I pay him for someone else. I don't care if it's the country. I don't care if it's another team. It's just not, I'm not okay with that. I'm just not. Oh, I'm mad today.
I guess so. Wow.
Ugh.
I have no problem with the competition. The World Baseball Classic has been around a while. I understand why players want to play for their countries. There is a pride involved in that. If you're the Mets and you don't want him to play, do what the Dodgers did with Kershaw. No, we don't want you taking any part in that.
Right. Well, yeah, I'm mad at the Mets for not doing that too. I mean, because I guess I find them, I'm not into this stuff, period. But I understand.
Yeah, but a lot of people are.
And I understand that, and that's fine, but I'm not allowing any significant player to play. Use your G League guys, use your minor leaguers, use your guys who are less critical to your team's success. And that's just the way, that's the compromise. To me, our best major leaguers are not going to be available for this thing, at least on good teams. Now, I know that's a little bit projection, but everyone knows that the Diamondbacks are going to stink. I don't know if they have a guy worth playing on the World Baseball Classic, but if they did, okay, whatever, put that guy on there. But, if you're the Yankees, the Mets, if you're the Dodgers, if you're the Giants, the Padres, the Braves, one of these teams is going to contend, probably the White Sox, I'm not putting my best guys there. No way. Not a chance.
I don't think it should be limited to just guys on contending teams. If you're the Angels, not a contender, do you want Mike Trout there?
No, I mean, I would be fine just saying, we're not allowing guys who are considered among the top 50 or so players in baseball, 100 players in baseball. Like, I mean,
Or what about guys who have had injury issues?
There needs to be a cutoff. If we're going to have these competitions, if they're going to continue, we need to have some type of major league presence, at least fringe. So there has to be a line of delineation. But because I'm willing to take some risk. Like, for example, with the Mets, if Brett Beatty played there, right? Or someone like I don't know, Jeff McNeil, he might be a little stretch. McNeil would be about as good of a player as I would want to send over. If I like that,
okay,
that would be about my cutoff. That might be stretching it a little bit much, but that would be about my cutoff.
So your line of demarcations, the
like
decent player line,
yeah,
and below should go.
Yes, I if you're gonna have this competition, I wouldn't have this competition. It's not the Olympics, it's not the same thing. So I wouldn't have it to begin with. But if we're gonna have it, you have to at least give it some relevancy. You can't just send minor leaguers and unnamed college kids. You just can't do that. So you have to give it some relevancy. But I'm not giving it.
Is baseball
my best
played in the Olympics?
It's not. It used to be.
Okay.
But it's still not the Olympics.
No, but if it's something where, other sports have competitions as well.
Oh, and I feel the same way about
your country.
Yeah, and I feel the same way about them. I think
there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. I agree with that. It's cool, but I'm not cool sending the guys I'm paying top dollar to perform in it. It's too much risk. I'm just not doing it.
I understand that.
But because, like you said, a lot of people care about it, and there is a pride factor. I suppose I would allow for their continuance with some pro players, but it would be of a certain level player and below. I'm just not taking the risk with the top guys. And the top guys just have to understand that. That's part of the cost of getting the money you get is some things you would like to do, you just aren't allowed to do. That's just part of the deal. And maybe I could be talked into a rotation of, let's say, there's too many teams teams in baseball. So let's go by division in baseball. Maybe in the NBA you go by conference. But a rotation where every World Baseball Classic, 2 divisions are required to send their best players if they want to play. So like you mitigate the risk. It's not on everyone every competition. Or you draw names out of a hat or whatever. I think you could do something like that where because you want to provide the competition a little star power, so it has a little sizzle. You want like 1 or 2 guys that are like more or less household names. Of course, with baseball, they barely have those, but that's a whole different story. We've talked about that before. But like with basketball, you want to provide at least one of the stars. It doesn't take more than 1 or 2. Like, 1 Curry or 1 LeBron or 1 John Morant. One guy like that will be enough to market the thing.
Okay, but one of those guys going down is about the worst thing you could have.
Of course it is. And this is me trying to be as flexible as I can stomach being with these, as I see them, worthless competitions. And that's why I would say you put it on some kind of like rotation or draw where not all of the top guys are eligible. It's basically one team or one conference or whatever per competition. And you do it on the rotation the way you do,
right.
Like those scheduling, for example, the way you play one division 1 year, one division the next, like you do something like that so that you limit that risk. You silo it to 1 or 2 teams each year.
Would you give those teams to still have the right to say what the Dodgers told Kershaw?
No, because they would. I think that
would kind of defeat the purpose.
well, no, it wouldn't, because now instead of all 30 teams basically being at the whim of their player to say, I want to go play in the Olympics, all but 2 of them will have the authority to say, no, you can't. This is like basically a shared, it's almost like a shared insurance policy on injury. It's like a diffused insurance policy. You're not, only 2 teams are up, and it's almost like a dispersal draft. Only 2 teams are up for it each year or each competition. So realistically,
Okay.
you're spreading that risk, you're diluting it across everybody. And each time there's a competition, only 2 teams are out there taking the risk.
Personally, I think it's at the worst time of the year to have this.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yep.
I mean, I've got NBA kicking into playoff gear, NHL kicking into playoff gear. You have NFL free agency going on right now. Where I think it's a cool idea, I'm not sitting here watching these games.
Right. Nope, me either. I mean, then it's not my thing. But I ultimately understand the need. If you're going to play them at all, I understand the need of having some marketable, sellable asset or player. And so that I understand that, but you have to manage this risk. I personally, if I had my way, I would just do away with them altogether. But, if we're going to work in the real world, we have to manage the reality that these competitions are here to stay, and they need to be, if they're going to be played, they need to be played with some level of relevancy if we're going to bother at all. So you have to manage that, but you also have to manage the risk. And like someone like Edwin Diaz, which started this rant, this shouldn't happen. This shouldn't happen.
Right.
Like it's just not okay. And maybe that's the way you do the rotation. Maybe instead of just random, in the year of a competition, you look at the previous year, the standings from the previous year, and just assign the bottom teams in each conference. You're the teams that have to make your guys available. Another incentive not to tank, right?
Yeah, but that also doesn't fill rosters of every country.
Well, you're going to fill the
roster. Not enough.
Well, no, you're going to fill the rosters with other guys who aren't necessarily on pro teams, other minor leaguers, other maybe recently retired major leaguers. This is only to get you a couple of recognizable names. It's not meant to build the whole roster. It's just to give you an opportunity. I want to build these rosters with bench guys, with minor leaguers, with recently retired major leaguers, because I don't want to take any risk with anyone that I need. But understanding that there needs to be a little star power, you need a leading actor somewhere. This is meant to address at least that, not to build the whole roster from. So that's how I would do this. But you know what? We'll see. I think ultimately for me, I find this very this just makes me angry as a Met fan. It really does. This guy's important. They need this guy. There's no other way. There's no other way about it. I mean, they just do.
Well, we'll clear that up by saying he didn't get hurt playing.
Right, but if he wasn't there, he wouldn't have been celebrating what just happened, and he wouldn't have gotten hurt. Unless he was John Wall and like tore his Achilles, walking up his stairs. But or like an old Met getting chased by wild boar, because I always do that. Oh God. Anyway, gonna go crazy just thinking about these things. Let's take a break. I need some coffee. I need Days coffee.
That could only be a Mets thing.
Oh, really? Absolutely. There's no question about it. I need some Days coffee. Let's go ahead and hit that. The official home of the official coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. It's Days Coffee. Patented blend, contains 85% less caffeine approximately than other coffees. Makes it better for you, but it still gives you that pickup. It tastes great. Formulated by Dr. Grant Lee, a former cancer pathologist. It is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now was complex and expensive to acquire, thus hard to buy, expensive to buy. With this formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go to our sister website, radioonlydeals.com, and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's radioonlydeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. Radioonlydeals.com. We'll see you there. Back on the other side with the question of the day. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
All right, it's time for our question of the day.
Soccer has overtaken hockey, and now it's closing in on basketball. I am KO, back in 1 minute with your sports question of the day.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happens. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
800-436-2290. 800-436-2290. Again, that's 800-436-2290. Paid for by NPS.
Soccer's popularity has surpassed that of ice hockey in the eyes of American sports fans. This according to the Daily Mail, which reports that analysts now believe soccer to be the 4th most popular sport in America. Their analysis was based on both sports popularity, participation, attendance, market value, and willingness to play. Daily Mail's analysts report soccer has surpassed hockey in all categories and is now closing in on basketball, which is currently the 3rd favorite sport in the United States. Question: which sport do you think is most exciting to watch? Hockey or soccer?
This is funny. We're like the worst show in the world to ask this question. Rich is going to say hockey, and I'm going to say neither.
And I would be right.
There you go. Yep, Rich is gonna go hockey. I basically, it's funny that they make this comparison because I essentially the reason I don't like one versus the other or either in this case is because I see them as very, very much the same. I have the same core problem with both. It's a lot of movement with nothing really holding my attention from minute to minute. It's the same reason I don't watch like racing sports. Like other than the occasional crash, like I'm not all that interested. It's why baseball got so boring to me for a while. Like there was just so much time where zero was happening. At least there's constant motion in hockey and soccer, but it's motion of just like I feel like I'm watching like a track meet with a ball or a puck. Like I just don't find either sport interesting to watch. So I'll go with hockey just because it's funny to watch guys without any teeth smile. So that's the reason for me. But yeah, I don't
Very
like
true
I don't
on
like
that.
either. I don't like either sport myself. But
Yeah, I don't think there's anything similar between soccer and hockey.
the scores are similar at the end
Um,
of most games.
Scores, yeah, but
Well,
there's
that
so
that's
much
that
more to any game.
Well,
than a
that's what it
score.
boils down to for me is there's just not enough happening. That's what I don't like. I mean, I like hockey. I will say this, I at least like the sights and smells of hockey, more the smell than anything else of being in an arena. So whereas like being on a soccer field is no different than just being out in my front lawn, just a bigger lawn. So hockey does have an atmospheric advantage if you're in the building, but both are unwatchable to me on television. So I guess there are minor redeeming things about hockey that put it ahead of soccer for me. I guess if I have to pick, I would pick hockey because I do a little bit like watching not even watching, but I like being in a hockey arena. I like the smells and the sounds. I still find the game boring as anything, but I at least like some of the atmosphere. Soccer doesn't even have that. So I guess little things like that edge hockey for me.
I also understand how soccer is past hockey because they take a number of people playing into account.
Yeah,
And
well,
yeah,
that's
it
the
will
thing.
pass basketball eventually
Right.
because so many people coming over to this country play soccer.
Right. Right.
And there are soccer fields for kids everywhere. Does that mean they watch the sport? No.
See, and that's something, I mean, you're right. There's the immigration trends of the Hispanic community, which of course soccer is the crown jewel of their sports world. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but you know what? Basketball and soccer, those two, I am sure, are eons ahead of everyone else in terms of just raw participation. If you just discard level.
Worldwide, yes, it's the easiest. They're the two easiest games
Right.
to participate in. There's
Exactly.
no ridiculous equipment needed.
Right. I mean, basketball is even easier than
There-
soccer. You need even less space and even less people. You know?
Soccer, you can go out and on a field and use half of it and play with four guys too.
Oh,
Either way.
absolutely. Absolutely. But you need a field.
Either way, and yeah, it's all you require for each is a ball.
Basically, a ball.
Parks have nets everywhere.
Yep.
They have hoops everywhere.
Yep, absolutely. No question about it. That's the truth. So,
And 90% of the cities around, ice time is ridiculously difficult to get.
Yep.
So not everyone's playing there. You have to really want to.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with a lot of sports. Really, soccer and basketball are the exceptions. I mean, rather than the rule. The rule is sports do require money, access, facilities, people, and equipment. I mean,
Right.
soccer and basketball are the two exceptions, and they are key to their popularity in a lot of ways, at least on the grassroots level. Now, I don't know that, to your point that you were just making, I don't know that soccer is ever going to surpass basketball in terms of, or maybe even hockey in terms of viewing audience in America. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but I think when you if you factor in all these extra things, then yeah, sure. But I also think viewing of basketball in particular is much more nuanced than other sports in the sense that a ton of people just watch a series of like highlights, almost like a ad hoc red zone channel, and that's how they consume basketball. And that's not tabulated in most of the lists that most of the ratings and viewer statistics that questions like this are formulated from. So that there's a huge part of basketball's audience that's never counted, is what I'm saying.
Hockey's getting the same way, Gary. I see people. Oh, I didn't watch the game. I was on Twitter though. Every highlight was there.
Well, every sport has a highlight culture to it to one degree or another, but no sport is as defined by its highlights as basketball is. Basketball is
well, that's because there's so many spectacular plays that can happen at any time.
Well, that's what makes it the best sport. That's why it's my favorite sport.
Right. I don't think it's the best. I get it's your favorite. I think it's great, but hockey last night, we should have had a goalie fight, and that's irreplaceable. I'm sorry. Things happen in hockey games that just don't happen anywhere else, and it's just amazing to see. But yeah, when you're counting people that play games, the easiest games to play, weather's a factor in that. You talk to someone raised in Finland or Sweden or Czechia, you talk to any one of them, they play more hockey than anything.
Right.
Because they're cold weather climates.
Sure.
You're not going to get a lot of that in South America because the weather's more conducive to outdoor sports. So basketball and soccer have that advantage. Basketball a bigger advantage because it can also be played inside with regularity.
In fact, that's its natural habitat is indoors. That's like where the formal amount of basketball happens.
So it's an interesting question.
It is an interesting question. It really is.
But yeah, I do want to see ratings points between these sports because I know basketball still, despite the way you say it's taken in, ratings are still increasing.
Oh, they are. Well, that's what I'm saying. The ratings are good anyway, but they're, I think, incomplete. That's what I'm saying. And I guess to one degree or another, that's probably true for all sports. But I think it's at a greater degree of truth for basketball is all I'm saying. I think basketball is defined by its highlights.
I agree with that.
I
think the least sport you get that in is the NFL because of the red zone channel.
Well, that's just it. I was going to say the NFL is probably the second sport that is most defined by highlight plays, but they're the only one that is kind of cantonized and formalized that culture into a trackable entity, which is a brilliant thing they did. No other sport has pulled it off. The NBA really should do something similar. There's no reason they can't.
The NBA and NHL do, Gary.
Well, they need to popularize it better.
It's just not its own channel.
Well, that's what I mean. They need to put it on a channel. They need to make it. I mean, red zone channel is almost like a verb at this point. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I mean. I'm sure something like this more or less exists, but it's not like a defined entity that's like a part of the viewing culture every time there's a game on. Now, part of that is because the NFL is, almost like a ritualistic thing on Sunday, which is part of the reason they dominate the way they do. But I still think the NBA...
And that's the day Red Zone Channel is on.
That's the day it's on. I still think the NBA could, for example, on Christmas Day or on, Sundays on ABC or whatever, on other days where they get a bump in audience, Thursday nights on TNT, they should do something like that. There's no reason they can't.
Do yourself a favor, and everyone listening, go to YouTube, look up the NBA's version of Red Zone that Ernie Johnson did.
Oh, that had to be fun. It is
absolutely hilarious.
That had to be awesome.
Now, NBA TV, where there's not a game on the network, you'll see shows that'll cut into games consistently. NHL Network does the same thing. But it's not an every game day thing the way it is with the Red Zone channel in the NFL.
Agreed. All right.
But watching Johnson cut over to different games like every 2 seconds to see a basket is hilarious.
That's got to be wild. It really does. I'm a big fan of Ernie Johnson. He's such a great broadcaster.
Oh, he is. Great on baseball as well.
Yes. No, he's just tremendous. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We will wrap up the hour with a little hockey report and a quick look at some other news and notes around the NBA. And then we will do hour 2. Of course, we'll have the top 5, our baseball preview, news you can use, more in detail analysis of the NBA. So a lot to get to, a lot of basketball the rest of the show, some baseball as well, and some football news too. So we got a lot of everything left to do. Back after this, the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Coffee Lovers Middletown is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days' patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to RadioOnlyDeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's RadioOnlyDeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. RadioOnlyDeals.com. That's RadioOnlyDeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Days Coffee.
All right, there we have it. I'm actually drinking some right now, so there you go. Good
can't
stuff.
beat it.
It's good stuff. All right, so what do we got in the NHL, Rich? Let's start there, and then we'll move into some NFL notes I have here.
Oh, okay. It was TNT night last night. So it was a very short schedule, only 4 games. The Islanders hold the top wild card spot. They're up 5 points in the wild card race. Down 2-1 in the second period to Anaheim last night. It's just going along as a game. Pow, the Islanders score 5 unanswered goals. End up winning the game 6-3. The team they're 5 points ahead of, the Washington Capitals, who came back from a 3-1 deficit and beat the Sabres in overtime last night. Buffalo's 1 point behind them. They got 1 point. And it's close, but I think the Islanders are in a really great spot. The best thing that happened in the league last night happened in a game that was just not interesting. The Wild beat the Blues. After a Wild player scored a goal, he's going to celebrate with his teammates. Jordan Binnington, he just nicked him as he went by. Binnington's the biggest hothead in the league, and I can see why he's the most hated player. He threw a punch with his blocker, which is an immediate expulsion because those suckers are heavy. And Marc-Andre Fleury, one of the nicest guys in the league, the other goalie, skated down the length of the ice to defend his teammate. And the linesman stepped in, and I'm not happy about that because I wanted to see a good goalie fight.
Well, that's like but when goalies skate, I've seen this happen before. When goalies skate the length of the ice to get in a fight on the other side of the ice, it reminds me of when like guys run from the bullpen to like the mound to get in the fight. Like, no, by the time you get here, it's going to be over. Just sit down.
Well, the refs got in between the two
Right.
of them. It was never going to be a fight. But, man, Binnington is like one of the most unhinged people in the league.
Awesome.
Every little thing bothers him.
There you go.
Funny to see, and what was the only redeeming factor of that game, which I didn't watch. I was tuned into the Clippers instead, and their nice win last night. Ooh, that in the business is what we call a segue.
It is a segue. Let's do
Not
it.
one of those things you ride.
No, that's very true. Yeah, so the Clippers, they did get a good win last night. Break that game down for me, Rich. You were watching most of it. What did you see? What keyed that win to you?
Defense.
Mhm.
They played really good defense, especially in the second half of the game. They clamped down. They made it tough for them to get shots. I mean, still, it was a 134 to 126 game. But the Clippers did make it hard on them. And their offense came in the second half. A lot of players played very well, had a lot of good nights. The game was back and forth and fun. Draymond Green got another technical. That's 16. So he's going to end up sitting out a game. I think he and Jordan Binnington should go to the same sports psychologist. Kawhi had 38, 5, and 2 steals in 36 minutes. Zubats had 19 and 16, and he's cracked the top 10 in the league in rebounding quietly. Paul George, 24, Westbrook, 15, 9 and 7 assists. Man, 17, and Eric Gordon, 16 off the bench. No one was stopping Curry, who just quietly dropped 50. But
by the way, there's always a flip side to the coin, and in this case, it is the LA coin. You got heads. Oh, and boy, did the Lakers get tails last night. They got
there's no. I don't care if AD wasn't there.
You lost to the Rockets. They're one of the 3 worst teams in the NBA. You're playing for your playoff
They have
lives.
a worse record than the Spurs.
Yep. It's them, Detroit, and the Spurs. They're the 3 worst teams in the NBA. And you're going to lose to them? Unacceptable. Unacceptable. You can't let that happen. You're playing for your playoff lives. Oh, what was wrong with AD? Did he pinch his panties again? What happened?
Who knows?
Where was this guy?
Well, Vanderbilt played center. Undersized, but he had 13, 10, and 5. He had a decent game. Sengun, the guy who plays for the Rockets, is also an undersized center who had 13, 9, and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Hachimura didn't score much, but they didn't get him the ball enough either. Best player was Austin Reeves, who had 24 and 26 minutes. He had 7 assists too. AD was inactive along with LeBron, and Mo Bamba has been too with an injury.
Yep.
But they played 4 guys off the bench, and when things weren't working, why does Lonnie Walker not get minutes?
That drives me crazy. That guy's good. He can score. He's a willing defender. I don't understand why he's not like a starting guard in the NBA someplace. I think he's at least as good as most teams' second starting guard. He is. I mean,
at the very least, he should be a good 6th man.
Yeah,
but you have one of those in Reeves,
right? Well, I think Walker's better than Reeves. I like Austin Reeves, but I like Walker's game a little bit better. It depends what you need, but I like Walker's game a little better. I've always liked him. I liked him when he was on the Spurs.
He's not getting enough minutes to show it. That's frustrating.
And the part that's super frustrating about that is when he was getting more minutes earlier in the year, he was showing it. Like he didn't really do anything to fall out of the rotation as far as I'm concerned. You know, it's one thing if you play your way out of the rotation, but I don't believe he did. I didn't
think he did. He was playing so well.
He was playing excellent. He absolutely was. Yeah, that was a bad loss. That was a really bad loss. A couple other games last night. The Philly-Cleveland game went about as we expected. Philly won by about 9.
No Jared Allen.
Yep, no Jared Allen, and lots of Joel Embiid.
Yes. Back to the Lakers game. Hachimura played very, very little.
Mm-hmm.
When he was in, I thought he did really well defensively. They weren't getting much out of him in offense, but they put him in the last minute when they're down by 4 or 5 to try to get offense, and he did get a bucket. But when you need him on both ends, and LeBron and AD are not playing, he needs more than 17 minutes.
Agreed.
And I think it's ridiculous that Troy Brown got he's almost 10 more minutes than him. And almost everyone on the roster played more than him except for Walker. Oh, and the Rockets had 7 guys in double figures, by the way. This is inexcusable.
Yeah, I've been underwhelmed by the coaching of Darvin Ham. I have to be honest. I thought he did an excellent job with Westbrook, getting him to buy into that role. And, now he's not here anymore. And I've not seen anything else in his coaching that makes me think he's anything but just a guy. That was the one distinguishing accomplishment in his coaching here that I gave him a lot of credit for. But
right.
Other than that, his rotations don't make sense. The guys he puts in his rotations make even less sense. I think that's more my concern, not so much the way he uses his rotations, it's who is in them. There's no reason why I need Troy Brown in over Lonnie Walker. I just don't need to see that. Lonnie Walker is better. Play him in those minutes. I need to see, like you said, more of Hachimura.
Hachimura can play.
Oh, he's excellent. I was so excited when the Lakers got him. You remember we talked about it right after that trade the next day. It was a big deal. But man, they don't play him enough. And yeah, I'm getting very frustrated with the coaching of Darvin Ham. I really am. I don't think he does a great job with it. You look at these the box score from last night. Okay, so Vanderbilt played got a bunch of minutes. He's played well. Okay, fine. But Troy Brown, he played 25 minutes. He was 3 of 5 for 8 points. Okay, why is he playing 25 minutes? And meanwhile, you got 16 points in 24 minutes from Dennis Schroeder, who didn't have an efficient shooting night. Gabriel's playing minutes when he played 33 minutes. Gabriel played 33 minutes. Why? No. Give those minutes to a combination of Walker and Hachimura. Hachimura and Walker played a combined. Walker plays 11 minutes. Hachimura plays 17. No, they played less minutes combined than Gabriel played by himself. That's unacceptable.
Oh, I know.
It just is unacceptable. Gabriel is nowhere near as good as either one of those guys. He's not. Why? Gets me crazy. It really gets me crazy.
I don't understand.
Because he's out there and he's not a threat in any way. Yeah, he does a good job on the glass. He got 14 rebounds. But I can play Rui Hachimura as a 4 and he can get me 10, 12, 13 rebounds, no problem. You know what I mean? To me, these are the two changes I would make. Gabriel would be cut from the 33 minutes to about 12. Hachimura would be bumped from what he plays 17 to about 30. Okay. And with the additional minutes, so what did I save? I'm saving 21 minutes there. So then I gave Hachimura about 17 of them, 13 of them. So with my remaining 8 minutes, I'm bumping Walker up. He played 11 minutes. I'm getting him up to 20. At least, at the very minimum. And then I'm going to get him up even more, though, because I'm cutting Troy Brown's minutes from 25 to about 15. So I'm getting Walker in for about 30 to 33, Hachimura in for 30 to 33. Gabriel and Brown need to be in that 12 to 15 range.
And you know something? That would help. And it wouldn't hurt Austin Rivers' minutes.
Austin Reeves, you mean? Yes, it wouldn't. Right.
Or Austin Reeves.
Yeah, right. Right, because you're basically playing Hachimura in place of Gabriel and Walker in place of Brown. It's a direct swap in both cases. Yeah, I don't like it. I really don't. And it's frustrating to me. All right, let's take we got a couple of minutes here before the top of the hour. couple more games to get to while we're here from last night. Second hour, we'll kind of look at what's going on tonight. There's 5 games in the league tonight. Getting back to this Philly game, we kind of touched on it, but we didn't go into it. Joel Embiid, as we predicted, just tortured Cleveland's front line, killed them.
Yes.
36 points, barely missed, 12 of 19, but 18 rebounds, Rich. They couldn't do anything with this guy. 4 blocks to boot. I mean, he just killed them. And we knew this was coming. Without Allen, Cleveland had no shot in defending this guy.
We said that yesterday.
Yeah. According to form. One thing, and you've gotten on this, your boy, your favorite coach in the league, 30 minutes for Tobias Harris. He only gets 7 shots. How does that happen? I mean, I guess they won and, whatever, but Maxey.
Well, yeah, they're going to win a lot because they have one of the 3 best players in the game.
Right.
But it's inexplicable how, after all this time, you can't create a path for this person to get 10 shots a night.
It is amazing.
That's all.
Yeah, 10 to 12
shots a night.
Yep, 10 to 12 shots would be great.
It's not like he's not a useful player.
Right.
Under this guy's system, he is. He's not a useful player, but I just don't understand it at all.
No, it doesn't make any sense. Cleveland really struggled with their offense. Their best player on offense was Karis LeVert off the bench, who had 24 points. Mitchell fought a shot all night. He finished 21, but was 9 of 19 from the field. And Darius Garland was even worse, 6 of 17. So Mobley had an efficient game, but he didn't have enough energy to do a lot of volume because he was busy getting killed by Joel Embiid. And that's understandable. He played almost the whole
player
game.
He has no business guarding.
Right. Of course not. So
what'd you make of the Miami-Memphis game?
I got to tell you something. Memphis, they got to figure out what the hell's going on with them, because when you give up 138 points to Miami, that's bad news.
No, they're not exactly an offensive juggernaut.
That's bad news, man. This team averages 109. You basically gave up 30 more points than their season average. Like, that's not okay. That's just not okay. It's really not. What a disaster. I mean, look, Miami is a good team, and the fact that they won isn't really the deal here. I mean, if you're Memphis and you think you're a title contender, you need to win these games, of course. But the bigger thing is you can lose to a team like Miami.
Even without your best player.
Right. You can lose, but you can lose to a team like Miami. Miami's not a bad team. They're not a great team, but they're a decent team. They're well coached. But
look at the Lakers have won some games without LeBron.
Right. But you
have to win these games.
And you can't get killed like that. You can't let a team that struggles to get to 100 every night drop almost 140 on you. That just shouldn't happen. That's got to make you mad. It has to. Like, I mean,
I agree.
If I'm the coach, what is it? Jenkins? Is Taylor Jenkins the head coach, right?
Yeah.
If I'm Taylor Jenkins, I'm doing like suicides tomorrow. I'm going Bear Bryant tomorrow. Like, I'm ticked off. It's like Gordon Bombay from Mighty Ducks 2 after the Iceland game. We're running practice right after the game. The hell with you guys. Oh my goodness. What a disaster. I'd be so mad.
One more game from last night I have a question on.
Yeah.
It took Dallas overtime to beat the Spurs.
Yeah, it's not good.
Why? Everyone keeps telling me this team is a contender.
Mm-hmm.
They're 500. I have yet to see it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. They're definitely running out of time.
Now, granted, Doncic didn't play. Kyrie didn't play. You still shouldn't have had this much trouble against the Spurs, especially considering you had 5 guys, including 4 starters, that had 20 or more. And Christian Wood had 28 and 13 off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way you should be giving up 128 points to the Spurs.
Agreed.
Who, now that their starting center was traded, they're using Sandro. Mamukelashvili is their starting center.
Oh, great.
He's been like a last guy on the bench for years.
Al-
For a few years now.
Alex,
since he was drafted.
Alex, name that guy that was coming up next. Basketball Anonymous players for 2000, Alex.
He played 33 minutes. Oh
my goodness, what a mess.
And they played without, guys, Devin Vassell did not play again. Jeremy Sohan didn't play either. The Spurs had 2 starters missing.
Yes.
And they almost beat the Mavericks.
2 starters.
Yeah, no Kyrie,
starters.
no Hardaway Jr., no Doncic. I get it. Not an excuse. No.
Yep, 2 starters who were barely starters.
Yeah,
not good. One trend I've noticed in the NBA. One thing Rich and I do outside of this show is we help produce a daily podcast called Stacking the NBA. It's available in all the podcast places. And Rich does a lot of all of the data research and puts together statistical charts. And I voice them and send them off to production. And one of the categories that we track every day is bench scoring. And one trend I've noticed, which I find interesting, generally speaking, the worse the team, the higher their bench scoring. So, like, for example, the Spurs have one of the highest scoring benches in the NBA. And that's misleading because it's not because their bench is so good. It's because they don't have a real starting rotation. So guys who are maybe starting quality players some nights aren't other nights. They come off the bench and they still score. So that's a deceiving statistic. Bench scoring is a tricky thing to really feel out and know, okay, who actually has a really good bench. Usually It's easy to tell who has a bad bench. Like Portland's bench is awful.
Miami's is no picnic either.
Miami's is another one, right? But it's hard to tell who has like for example, statistically speaking, if you compared the two, the Spurs bench and the Pacers is another example, score roughly 7.
Indiana gets a lot of points, bench points.
Right. They score maybe 7 to 10 points on average more than, say, Milwaukee's bench. But whose second unit would you rather have?
Right.
No one's going to take anyone but Milwaukee of those 3, if you know what you're talking about.
The one exception to that is the Clippers.
Well, the Clippers have a legitimately good bench, and they're like not a bad team, right?
They're very deep.
Right, they are. And the Lakers are another team. They're under 500, but they're like not like buried. They're not like in the Spurs category, not even close. So they're another team I think with for most of this year has had a pretty productive offensive bench.
They have. They've been in the top 10 all year.
Yep. So
in bench points, and it could be even better if it were used properly.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Top 5 around the corner. Today's baseball teams. We got some winners. We got Texas and Colorado as we continue our march through the AL and NL West, respectively. We're getting to the nitty-gritty. We got, I think, about 3 teams after today left in each division. So we'll have tomorrow, Monday, and Tuesday. And opening day is around the corner, guys. What is that coming up? What is that date, Rich? Is it April 1st?
I think day? So.
Yeah, we'll double check that in the break. But let's go take our
break. Can I take a break for 20 minutes during that segment? That's tough, dude. That is hard.
You gotta do the duty, man. What can you say? It's part
Texas
of
and Colorado.
Texas and Colorado. We're trying to get all these bad teams out of the way so we can get to the good teams for you. But look, bottom line, we can make that quick. There's not a lot to talk about with either one of them. But for the sake of completeness, we'll do it. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll do our top 5. We got baseball, we got NFL. And a little more NBA in the second hour. News you can use as well. It's the Gary Ayd Show. Back after this here on The Cave. All righty, welcome back to the Gary Ayd Show here on the Cave, hour number 2, cavetalkradio.com and the Cave Talk Radio app. A quick programming announcement. Tomorrow, we will be airing interviews conducted later today with Rich Monda of the Orange County Smash, a new content partner of Cave Talk Radio. We will play those probably, I believe, at about 10:30 tomorrow. That's subject to change, but I think the plan is to play those around 10:30 after the question of the day. And we will be doing these each and every Friday from tomorrow through July. And starting next week, we will add the Orange County Bombers, which is a softball organization in the area, to the mix as well. And beyond that, this is just the warm-up. Beginning next week for the Smash and the week after for the Bombers, you will be hearing not just coaches' interviews on Fridays. You'll be hearing a produced scoreboard of all of the action, all of the games. Both organizations have multiple teams and multiple age groups. You'll be hearing all of the scores and all of the results from those games, which are generally played on the weekends, on Mondays in produced scoreboards for both clubs. And then on Tuesdays, you'll be getting interviews with players. Some of the kids who are playing outstanding will have our athletes of the week, 2 to be exact, for both organizations each week. That's beginning. So the interview with Rich is tomorrow. The first interview with the Bombers will likely be next Friday. And then Monday and Tuesday of next week, you'll hear your first Smash players and scoreboard. And Monday and Tuesday of the ensuing week, their seasons start a week apart. You'll start hearing that information for the Bombers as well. So pretty cool stuff. We did a full press release on this on Cave Talk Radio NY, our Facebook page. You know, that thing has gotten over 8,000 views already, Rich. 8,000.
Wow. That's incredible.
Oh, it's amazing.
And we're going to get it higher than that, too.
Absolutely, we are. This is just the beginning. That was just the announcement. It hasn't even begun yet. Really, really cool stuff. Very exciting. All right. Well, with that said, this segment is brought to you by Days Coffee, patented blend, approximately 80% less caffeine than other coffees. Special formulation by a retired cancer pathologist. It is absolutely delicious. It gives you a good pickup. It sits well in your stomach. You know what? It's best, in my opinion, for a second cup of the day. Because, you know, that first cup, maybe you want a real big punch. This gives you a nice pickup. But if you want something a little more intense, but the second cup of the day, that 2:00 cup, this is perfect for that. It really is. And the best part is you can get it at a good price. If you go over to radioonlydeals.com, you can get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That is our sister website, radioonlydeals.com. We also have other opportunities on there, like Ray's cheesesteaks, for example. You can get a $20 certificate for $10 over there. These are single-use digital gift certificates that are emailed to you on purchase. And when you open the email, there's a link. You click that link. It will populate the coupon with a redeem button. Do not hit that button until you are in front of the cashier. This is a single-use opportunity. Once that button is hit, it can never be used again. That is your verification. So go over to radioonlydeals.com for the great offer at Days Coffee and other sponsors from the area. All right. Now, with that said, Rich, it's time to dive into today's top 5.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time for King Talk Radio's Top 5.
All righty. We decided in the break we're going NBA benches today, huh, Rich?
You want to dive into a top 5? I want to dive into a cheesesteak and a cup of coffee.
Hey, you know what? Maybe we can do both. You know, he uses
why not?
He uses prime rib in his steak, in his cheesesteak.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, the thing weighs about 6 pounds. It's the size of like a bowling pin. It's definitely like a 2-meal or 2-person sandwich.
Shaved prime rib.
Yes.
Oh, man.
It's awesome. And he like loads it up. I mean, it's like a whole loaf of bread. It's massive. It's definitely coma-inducing.
I'm hungry now. Oh,
They're open
it's
today.
not fair.
They're open today, as a matter of fact. They're open on Thursdays through Saturdays. They're open 3 days a week. So, really
Oh
cool
man,
local
I'd be
place.
one depressed dude the other 4 days.
I'm telling you. Yeah. He does great soup. Oh, Dre is awesome. You kidding me? All right, let's go ahead into this top 5 benches.
Your
So,
top 5 all-time
benches.
Yeah, I
Ooh.
was not going to do the year.
Wow.
Or do you want to do the year and do the all-time tomorrow? Let's do it.
Let's do that. Okay.
Do this year.
Okay, yeah, because we were kind of talking about that before the break. So that's already kind of in my mind. You know, I think number 1 has to be Milwaukee. You know, Brooke Lopez, Bobby Portis, those two, one of them's always starting, one of them's always coming off the bench. It doesn't matter which is which, but having one of those guys on your bench, it just makes them so good. The numbers, Milwaukee's a weird team this year. Their numbers are mostly middle of the pack to lower top third. But when you watch them play and you watch them win and win and win and win and win, you realize how great this bench is. I mean, Brooke Lopez is starter / bench. You know, I think he starts more than he plays off the bench, but he's done both. Their depth is just incredible. And I think the way I'm ranking this one, where I'm giving them this top spot, is from all the teams I've watched this year, they're the team least affected by the absence of one of their top guys. And that speaks to a great bench. They've won a lot of games this year without Middleton, a fair number of games without Giannis. And in most of those games, Lopez is sort of like the guy that steps up. Sometimes it's Holiday. We've seen Grayson Allen do it. There's been a number of guys, but Lopez is such a weapon for that team. He really is.
He is. They are deep and they are good.
Yeah. So they're my number 1. Let's see some other teams. These I'm not going to rank just yet. That's the Bucks just stand out. The Lakers have a very productive bench. As we were saying during the segment, it was good with Westbrook. It's good now. It could be better if they maximize their rotations more optimally, but it's still good anyway. Indiana's bench is pretty solid. I think I'm trying to think of some other teams. I think Boston has a very good bench.
They do.
Boston's definitely got some good pieces. Philly's a weird team. Shake Milton's pretty good. But they're kind of, they used to be a bench good team. Now they kind of move those prime performers from their bench to their starting lineup. So it's not quite the same
And
anymore.
trading Tybull really hurt them too.
That hurt their depth. It did. Thinking of some of the other contenders.
The Clippers
bench.
obviously.
Yep, the Clippers have an excellent bench. Yep, no question about it.
The Warriors bench isn't bad when the starters are all there.
Yes, that's true. They have a good
It's just
bench.
that you've had a lot of bench guys. I mean, Poole started most of the year either for Thompson or Curry. But you saw coming off the bench last night, he had 28. And he's capable of that any night.
Absolutely. No question about it. Let's see who else we got. Indiana their bench is pretty productive. It has been at times.
It has.
Let's see. What about the Knicks bench? It's really not very good. And it probably should be better, but it's not been very productive.
Tibbs does not use his bench.
He's not a bench guy. No, he's not. Yeah. You got to earn that starting lineup if you're going to play for Tibbs, because otherwise you're going to watch for Tibbs.
Right.
That's how it goes with his teams.
They have a lot of guys that play 36 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's his MO. That's the way he plays. It's always been that way. Let's see. Who else do we got? What about Denver's bench? They're not all that either. I mean, there's not a lot of great benches in the NBA this year. Then when you really break it down,
No, there's not.
there's not too many.
No, I don't think Denver's deep enough.
Nope, I agree. Yep, I totally agree.
A lot of times with these, though, Gary, if you have one guy off the bench that's great and one guy that's good, then they're both either starter or six-man quality, it doesn't have to be as deep.
That's true.
It could be a great 3 to 4 man bench.
Right. Yeah, that's
But
very
no,
true.
we don't really have a lot of that this year. Most of the guys that have done that with scoring, and I had mentioned Jordan Poole, have done a lot of it as starters.
Right.
Let's go down the teams here. And Toronto's bench isn't what it
Awful.
was.
Yeah, they're not very good.
They used to be deeper.
Yep.
I'm trying to think, is there anyone Chicago's benches?
You know what? Brooklyn's bench is very productive. It is. They get some good points from their bench with this new configured roster. So they have a pretty good bench.
Sacramento's.
Yes, that's another good one. Yep, Sacramento's a good one. Yep, absolutely.
So we do have some teams out there that have good benches. Let me see. I'm trying to think here, too. You don't have another Milwaukee, which is the problem. Although, like I said, since Westbrook got to the Clippers and Terrence Mann went to the bench, that bench immediately jumped way up. It took Lou a while to get Terrence Mann involved, and he still has issues with it. And I think that would be easily one of the better, if not the second bench in the league. Have they ever used Robert Covington correctly?
Yeah, that's a very good point. And he just doesn't get utilized.
That might be the deepest team in the league and has a coach that doesn't know how to use it.
There's a lot of
I don't understand that.
There's a lot of bad coaching in the NBA this year. A lot of and it's mostly around the same issue, which is using the bench properly. And I wonder how much of the fact that we have fewer benches than we thought is because of the talent, how much of it is because of the deployment of the talent.
I think a lot of it is. I really do. I think coaches are afraid to go to their bench.
Yep.
Because they don't want to take that chance. Because they're looking at, well, it's going to be a loss if we do that, or it's a potential loss. And it's normally because they're not utilizing it correctly, not because your bench is that bad.
You know who was great? What's that?
Oh, go ahead. Make your point.
You know who was great at this, at bench management, and he doesn't get the credit for it because everyone talks about him with his mastery of managing egos and stuff, and the Zen and all the Zen stuff. Phil Jackson was awesome with his bench. The thing that I loved about him with his bench is he would leave them in there and let them get killed and let him figure it out. He wouldn't call a timeout. He wouldn't break his rotations. If his plan was to play his bench the last 3 minutes of the third quarter and the first 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, and in the last 2 minutes of the quarter, they went on like a 10-0 run, the other team, he didn't call a timeout and he didn't change guys. And what that did is when you got to the playoffs and that situation materialized, it steeled that group, built that confidence that they can turn it around and get it done when they needed to, versus having to be rescued by the starters. It really built their confidence, their resiliency, and their toughness, their mental toughness as a group. Phil Jackson was great at that.
Yes, he was. So was Chuck Daly.
Yes, that's another one. I think he just bribed his bench players to play better. And he said, if you play good, I'll give you the secret to the good hair I have, and I'll give you my barber. I'm pretty sure that's what did that.
Oh, yes.
Chuck Daly had the best head of hair. He really did. You know, he's from Kane, Pennsylvania. I actually worked in that market.
I did not know either of those facts.
Yes. Well, Kane, Pennsylvania was like an outlying territory for the station I worked at in Olean. It was because they had like a translator that was out in that direction. It was Kane and Warren, Pennsylvania, were like the two outliers of our territory. And yeah, Chuck Daly is from Kane, Pennsylvania. There's like historic place signs all over the town about that. And there's also maybe one of the greatest butcher shops in the country, a place called Bell's Meat Market. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Out there. Very small little place. Just the quality of the stuff is outrageous. And he's got all kinds of stuff. He's got turduckens. He's got these sausages of all different flavors that he makes himself. Everything is made. In fact, I think they even hunt a lot of their own meat that they use in the casings and stuff. It's crazy. Anyway.
Oh, that is awesome.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, it's literally a destination place. I used to, when I lived in Salamanca, it was a good hour and 10 minutes to go there. I would go there just to get that stuff.
I don't blame you.
Oh, it was awesome. Are you kidding me? Absolutely awesome. All right, cool. So there we have it. So let's put these in some order.
Okay.
Let's see. Were you going to ask something before I went off on my Phil Jackson thing? I thought you were going to say something.
No, I don't remember.
That's all right. All right. So number 1 is Milwaukee. I think number 2 is going to be Sacramento. I had forgotten about them, but their bench is very, very good. And they're used properly. Mike Brown's done a very good job with that team.
This is the best coaching job I've ever seen him do.
Oh God. Yeah, me too. Without a question. No doubt about it. So that's number 2. Number 3, I'm going to go with Boston. Number 4, I'm going to go with Golden State. And number 5 for bench productivity, I go with the Clippers. So I'm going to move these around. So I'm going to move the Clippers to 4. We'll go Golden State at 5. And yeah, that'll work. Honorable mention Lakers, honorable mention Brooklyn, but both of them missed the cut. I'm going 1 Milwaukee, 2 Sacramento, 3 Boston, 4 Clippers, and 5 Warriors. That's my top 5 for NBA benches this year.
And you know, the funny thing is both LA teams could be even higher if their benches were used correctly.
If they were utilized better. I agree. Totally agree. All right, good stuff. That was awesome. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We got our baseball previews and some NFL news and notes. We're going to wrap up about 5 minutes early today. Back after this, the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM BetMGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
All right, we are back, and it's time to dive into our baseball previews. We're going with Colorado first. This is a team that is the top of the list as far as teams without a plan goes. I don't understand where they're going, what they're trying to accomplish. They held on to Realmuto, for example, entirely too long. And they basically ended up losing him for next to nothing. They don't have a plan. Like, I don't know what they're doing. Like, I at least understand what the A's do. They stay cheap. They try to get guys to a point where they're really good. They have a couple years of them being good under control where they can be competitive. Then they try to sell them high and start over again and stay cheap. At least I know the plan. I don't like the plan, but at least I can see what it is. What's this team doing, Rich?
I wish I knew.
Like,
is there anyone you like on this team?
No one that comes to mind. Let me pull up a window real quick. There we go. Here's their roster. Okay, so I mean, Chris Bryant, if he could recover his old form, has at least a track record of being good.
True. I think Randall Grichuk is a great defensive center fielder.
Yep.
Cron's a solid first baseman.
Nola Davis is.
There's not a whole lot there, Gary.
It is not. Nola Davis is all right. This team basically stinks. I mean, they really do. You look at.
I don't like their pitching at all. There's just not a lot to like here, Gary.
Charlie Blackmon as an outfielder is an okay player.
Yeah, I'd use him more as a fourth guy. I don't like either of their catchers.
Yep. Nope. Baird is all right. Daniel Baird, the right-hander, he's okay, but he's getting up there in age. He's almost 38 years old.
Right.
No, man, this is an awful team. I mean, that's basically when you boil it right down to it.
There's just not a lot there to like.
And the thing is, I don't follow the prospect circuit like a lot of other people do. Do they have like hope for the future, or are they just kind of no hope and no direction? I mean, I don't know anything about their system. Maybe they have some guys in their system, but they're
they have a few, but their prospect pool in general is middling at best. They're not the Orioles, Guardianas. They're not teams like that build. Pittsburgh builds their prospect base.
The Yankees and Dodgers greatly appreciate that effort.
Oh, yes, they do. I don't see much there in Colorado. When they do find lightning in a bottle, they trade or sell it.
Mm-hmm. Now, for what it's worth, Prospects 1500, prospects.com has the Colorado Rockies ranked as the 13th best farm system.
Yeah, that's about where.
Yeah.
Without looking, that's about where I had them.
Yep.
And it's a shame because they have a nice fan base, which would even be better if this team cared.
It would be nice because what a Colorado. I mean, obviously they have a presence in all four pro sports, so
yes,
there's competition there, so it's impressive.
Yeah, but a park like that should be a home run hitter's paradise.
Absolutely,
because of the altitude, and they just don't care.
Yeah, and that's the problem. There's so many of these teams doing these previews has kind of put a spotlight on that to some degree.
Yes.
There's so many of these teams that just don't care. They go into the season with not only no expectation of success, but no care that they have no expectation of success. It doesn't bother them. It's one thing if you're a team like the Cubs who go into a season without expectation of success, but you clearly see it bothers them and they're working to change that. Right. But and they've made some strides this year. But, when you're some of these other teams, you go into the season without a care in the world that you have no shot. That's just blatant disrespect for your fans. It really is. And
I agree.
That brings us to Texas in the American League. We've done Oakland already in the West, the American League West. So this Texas Rangers.
Yes, we have. Texas, I look at this. Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're a fan, you've got to be ecstatic they signed Jacob deGrom.
Absolutely. 100%.
You get to watch Hall of Fame talent on the mound for you every fifth day.
Mm-hmm.
The every fifth day part is the question. deGrom hasn't thrown more than 92 innings since 2019 in any one season.
Yeah, it's not.
They're incredible innings, but there's not enough of them. You honestly don't know what you're going to get. If the Rangers somehow make the playoffs and deGrom's at 100% for a game one start, this move looks genius.
Absolutely, it does.
Oh, would you predict that?
Nope. Not in the least.
They have tried so hard to go after top tier talent. They really have. Nathan Eovaldi and Andrew Heaney don't look bad in their rotation. Adolis Garcia, his power is there. He's a free swinger. He's nothing as a fielder. But, hey, he holds down a spot. Is a playoff contender trouting out guys like Leody Taveras and Josh Smith?
That's not good.
They got a couple other players, but they have a lot of holes to fill. And if Pittsburgh's so willing to trade probably their best everyday player, Brian Reynolds, Texas should be on the phone to them constantly.
Yeah, the one thing I like about Texas is the Padres had a similar come to Jesus moment a few years ago. They just woke up one day and was like, wait a minute. Why aren't we trying to be good? We should get some good players. I'm a billionaire. I can afford to do that. Let's go spend some money and get some good players. It's like, yeah, why didn't I think of that? It's like, I don't know what prompts these sudden, epiphanies, but it's funny when it happens. We've seen this a couple of times recently. We saw it with San Diego a few years ago. Like I said, the Orioles are threatening to be considering the same thing. I have to see it happen first. Texas, though, definitely is. They're the latest team to be like, oh, we need to get good. We need to spend some money. So it's always good for the fans and it's good for the sport when other teams besides the normal cast of characters go out there and try to bid on the top talent. And then when they actually win one. And Texas has a history of occasionally doing this. Obviously, they acquired Alex Rodriguez. They also have done this with, I think, well, he's the biggest one. Ivan Rodriguez was kind of there. So, yeah, they have the history with A-Rod anyway. But it's good. I'm happy to see it. Now, that said, where do they purport? We know the Rockies are going to be at or near the bottom of the NL West. There's no question about that. But when you look at the AL West, besides the Astros, Texas could compete for second place here. Seattle, Oakland, the Angels are all probably a little better than Texas, but all within the margin of if a few things go right for Texas and or wrong for any one of them, or someone underachieves, it's all within the margin of where Texas could be. But they're going to need a healthy DeGrom. I'm still going to say they're going to finish in the basement here in this division, maybe along with Oakland. I still think the Angels and Mariners are better. And, of course, Houston's head and shoulders better than everyone in that division. But
yes,
I think Texas could have at least a partial season of semi-relevant baseball. Maybe. It's not exactly a glowing endorsement, but it's better than being a forgotten afterthought.
I don't know. I need to see DeGrom pitch more than 100 innings.
Right.
I really do.
100%.
And
that's the problem.
I'm not confident I'm going to see that.
Well, you shouldn't be.
And if I don't, well, I mean, they have huge holes in their lineup. You got a couple of young players that look pretty good. Your pitching is halfway decent, but some of these guys you're throwing in other spots should not be playing, say, 120 games every year in the majors.
Right.
And that's the problem. I'll give Texas a little credit, the same way I give it to the Angels. At least they try.
Yes. Yep.
They don't sit on their hands.
They're not right now anyway. Which is good. All right. Well, there you have it. So those are our baseball previews. Tomorrow we'll continue on. We're going to be taking a quick break. We'll come back. When we do, we'll do a little news you can use and wrap up the show a couple minutes early today. It's the Gary Ayd Show back after this here on The Cave.
Coffee Lovers Middletown is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to radioonlydeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's radioonlydeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. Radioonlydeals.com. That's radioonlydeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Days Coffee.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do. And you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
All righty, it's time for some news you can use. What do we got today, Rich?
Okay, we got some interesting stuff today. Looks like the Dallas Cowboys are cutting ties with Ezekiel Elliott.
Really?
Your thoughts?
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what. That's surprising. I hadn't heard that. That's gonna cause the Cowboys a lot of. They're gonna need to replace what he brings to the table. Is what I guess they better hope Tony Pollard is healthy. And they're probably gonna need a second running back. That makes an interesting question. Who should sign him? Because he's far from done.
Right. People close to the Cowboys are saying they're probably going to draft him back in the first round. Apparently, when they gave Pollard the franchise tag,
yep,
it made the running back room like over $27 million in salary. It's either take a cut or get cut. And they're going to be on the hook if they cut him, but it looks like that's going to happen. Teams linked to Elliott, the Arizona Cardinals, Carolina Panthers, even though they just signed Sanders from the Eagles, the Buffalo Bills, Denver Broncos, Miami Dolphins. This can get interesting.
I'll tell you what, this guy would, I think, help Buffalo. I think it would help Miami a lot. You know what? I wouldn't mind seeing him with San Francisco as a change of pace, short yardage back to complement McCaffrey. I think that would be a nice fit. He's a good blocker. He's a strong guy. Great in the red zone. I wouldn't mind that at all.
I talked to someone in Dallas last night when I saw this. I made a couple of calls.
Mm-hmm.
And one person I talked to said, since he signed that big deal, he doesn't run as hard. He's not going to miss him. I said, yeah, but your team will.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, you need like people always I think people find what they're looking for, whether it's there or not. People have this idea that once an athlete signs a big contract, they stop playing as hard. And I guess there are times when that's actually true, but more times than not, it's just people looking for a reason to knock someone down. It's pure jealousy. It's really what it boils down to at the crux of it. All right, what else we got?
Okay, John Morant suspended 8 games for conduct detrimental to the league. The NBA did their due diligence on this, and they said in a press release that the video with him holding a firearm in an intoxicated state while at a Denver area nightclub was the thing that pushed them over the top. The release also said there was no evidence that Morant possessed a gun while inside any NBA facility, which is good.
Yep.
And it looks like he may come back Monday against Dallas because they're counting the games that Morant's already missed as part of that.
That's what I was just going to ask. Okay, so he is getting basically credit for time served to put it in a crude way. Okay. Yep. Okay.
To put it in a law and order kind of way.
Yes. All right. What else we got?
Tampa Bay Buccaneers are bringing in Baker Mayfield. Why? To compete with Kyle Trask.
Oh boy.
Man, is he falling quickly.
Kyle Trask, yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
This is Mayfield's lot in life now. He's competing with Kyle Trask to be the starter in Tampa Bay.
You thought the Jets quarterback situation was dicey.
Yeah, and Mike White left, and he might have been the best guy there last year, which is a low bar.
That's a low bar. The other option was the 47-year-old Joe Flacco. 80-year-old Joe Flacco was probably the other contender for the best quarterback in the room last year for the Jets. Like you said, a very low bar. Not good.
Mayfield's deal could be worth up to $8.5 million. Provided, he gets incentives and does a few things.
Sure.
And that's according to Adam Schefter. Played 5 games with the Rams after Carolina cut him. He threw for 850 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 picks. He didn't look like the worst quarterback in the league. But you're going to Tampa Bay. You don't have that Rams coaching staff there to make you look decent, which they did. Something else. The Lakers will not pursue Kyrie Irving this summer.
Interesting.
For one reason. And when Joe Van Buha, a writer for The Athletic, who I know, said sources told him that, and what he's been told is the ship has sailed. He said when the Lakers made that deal for Russell, part of it was getting off Westbrook's contract and getting out of that situation, but they could have had Mike Conley in the deal. They looked at Russell as someone who could be their point guard of the future and a kind of guy that could fit with AD and LeBron. Lakers have a big interest in signing him, which is why they really don't want Kyrie. Your thoughts?
See, I understand that logic because they are, at least positionally similar players. But I don't know. D'Angelo Russell has never impressed me as a guy that, I got to keep long term for 4 or 5 years. I mean, he's a good, solid player. He definitely is productive, and I don't mind having him on the roster. But I don't see why he can't be a 6th man playing time at both guard positions and Kyrie in the starting lineup. I mean, I guess money, but I mean, realistically, I wouldn't look at D'Angelo Russell as a reason to say, see, we don't need Kyrie anymore. I don't think he's that great. I mean, he's good. He's made one all-star team. He's definitely a talented player, but I don't know. To me, he doesn't mean okay, now our guard situation is settled. No, not really. He's good, but I don't know. I don't love that logic. I understand it. And, in the confines of a salary cap sport, I can see where it would cause that logic and that approach because you kind of have to make decisions with it. I understand that, but it doesn't make me thrilled. I can't say I'm happy about it.
I get it.
I understand. I get it, but I don't really love it.
But the Lakers definitely do not feel the way you do.
No. Okay.
And for some reason, and I don't understand it, I really don't, but they firmly believe this. For their sake, I hope they're right. We got time for another one, or are we good?
One more.
Gary Bettman said at the GM's meetings yesterday that the salary cap that everybody's expecting to go up 1 million increase to 83.5 million. He says there's a possibility of negotiation, seeing as how well the league is doing, that could be even higher. He said by the end of this year, they expect that $1 billion loan they took out when they weren't playing in front of crowds fully paid off.
Nice. Good job.
A lot of people criticize Bettman, and I've had my share too, but he hasn't done that bad with this league.
There you go. All right. Well, that will do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow. Good talking to everyone. We'll see you tomorrow, the Gary Ayd Show, 10 to noon, here on The Cave.